With the extra point, this is Erik McKinney, joined by Greg Katz. Greg, we're talking USC quarterback recruiting for 2021. The big news came Thursday night where Jake Garcia, four-star commit from over a year ago, back in September of 2019, he pledged to USC. He backs away from that commitment. That leaves USC with just one commit at the position in Miller Moss, another four-star quarterback. This is a spot where USC clearly wanted to take two quarterbacks in this class. Your thoughts on USC's 2021 quarterback recruiting at this point?
Well, I think it's partly very exciting and partly waiting to be excited. The Jake Garcia situation, reminds me of the old joke, because we know that Garcia had been to 5 locations, to put it nicely. And it was almost like he kept saying, I'm coming, no problem. And then all of a sudden, I'm not coming, not coming, but I love you all. I love being a Trojan. It's like the old joke, roses are red, violets are blue. I'm schizophrenic and so am I. And the way I look at it is I'm actually not bothered at all that Jake is not coming to USC. I don't like players that are transferring all over the place, because I think they carry a pattern of behavior that if they don't come to SC and start right away, they're going to transfer out anyway. So to me, it's a character issue. I'm not saying he's not a kid and that he shouldn't go where he wants to go, but this constant changing of things, it makes it too acceptable to not make a commitment or have the commitment mean anything. On the other hand, I'm extremely excited about the prospect of Jackson Dart from Utah coming to USC. If he comes, he really, really reminds me of Sam Darnold. And it's possible that he'll be a better quarterback than Sam Darnold, because Sam, of course, missed some time at San Clemente because he was injured. He was actually a linebacker, who had he's a winner, period. And I think Jackson Dart has that it factor. He's about 6'3", 205. I watched him on TV, one of his games, and he wasn't like he was playing against chopped liver. So I said, this is the guy that I can see them taking if he wants to go. The question is, what about other schools? Why is he not, do we not hear more about BYU? You being the recruiting guru of WeAreSC.com, probably has more insight about that. But I'll tell you what, if somebody said flat out, you want Jackson Dart or do you want Jake Garcia, with all due respect, just based on character and what they've done. Now, let's remember that Jackson Dart did change high schools too. He did go from one high school to another. So I'm going to just say, well, one guy's been to 5 of them and one guy's been to 2 of them. So I'll take the 2 of them. And, I think you have to delve into, sometimes there are extenuating circumstances, and, it's not, you shouldn't have a rush to judgment in this time period of college football recruiting.
Yeah, I think USC having a commitment from Miller Moss is huge. He's a guy that's kind of become a leader for this recruiting class, and very vocal and reaching out to players. And that's always a good thing to have at the quarterback position. I was fine with Moss and Jake Garcia coming in. I thought that was 2 guys that give you, both guys can operate in this offense a little bit different in kind of what they bring, and it was going to work out. But again, the Miami whispers, and sometimes louder than a whisper, regarding Jake Garcia, how much they were coming after him and how much he was actually looking there, that's been constant. That's been constant for months. And so the idea that he was going to end up somewhere other than USC, that's been there for a while. He had said all kind of the right things publicly, no, I'm going to USC, I'm excited to get there. But ultimately, when he makes this announcement, the shock factor isn't exactly there. It did start to feel kind of a when, not if, sort of situation for him. You mentioned Jackson Dart. What he did as a senior this fall is unbelievable. Almost 4,700 yards passing, 67 passing touchdowns against just 4 interceptions, and then ran for almost 1,200 yards and 12 more touchdowns. This is a guy who steps on the field knowing what he can do, and in Utah football, the other team steps on the field knowing what he can do also. I mean, this is a guy that, has put up 200 yards passing by the time he takes his first snap, basically, because he attacks and just it feels like he scares defenses, and he's just that good of a player. USC, I think, BYU is in there, Arizona State is in there, UCLA is really all in on Jackson Dart. So it's always interesting to try to add a second quarterback in a class where some programs are going after him as maybe the only guy in a class. So that always is going to be something where the program that already has the quarterback is going to have to fight that uphill battle. But you look at USC's depth chart, and it's inviting for quarterbacks in this class right now. I mean, you don't expect Keaton Slovis to be there for any more than 3 years if kind of he continues playing how everyone expects him to be able to play. And then the backup right now is a redshirt senior. I mean, you don't have any scholarship, redshirt freshmen who look like, oh, he's the future of the position. The guy or guys they sign in this 2021 class are the very near future of the position for USC. And so if you're one of two guys, that's only one guy that you really need to beat out. And so that would start an unbelievable kind of practice field, battle between those two backup quarterbacks. So I do think USC, when they found Jackson Dart and kind of went all in on him, you had to expect that at some point they were going to need to land him, because trying to keep, two guys committed and sign a third guy, that was just too many balls juggling in the air, and somebody was going to get dropped or someone was going to end up somewhere else. So again, you got to finish the deal on Jackson Dart now. But what was always going to be kind of an interesting story has become even more so now as we close in at the end of the recruiting process. So again, Miller Moss in the pocket, and certainly should not be overlooked as potentially the future starter at USC. And now all eyes on Jackson Dart to see what he does, again, with a few schools left in the mix for him.
I will say this about Jackson Dart. If he played in LA, he'd be a big time. You put him at Mater Dei, you put him at St. John, any of these schools that are high profile, and he might be considered the man. That's how good I think he is. And I will say this, that Jackson Dart could, if he comes here, I'm not going to say force, but persuade Grant Harrell to evolve his air raid offense, because Jackson Dart to me is Sam Darnold and not Keaton Slovis. And to me, if Jackson Dart goes to UCLA, hold on to your hats, because they'll run quarterback like we see them do now, that you're almost going to say, this guy is so talented running the ball and passing the ball, that you can't just say he'll only do this, but he'll do a lot of it. So it would be interesting if he comes. I think he is that good.